The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Some breaking news. President Bongbong Marcos appoints fishing tycoon Francisco Chu Laurel as the new agriculture chief. Laurel is the president of Frabel Fishing Corporation. He is mainly a player in the agriculture industry with other ventures in the food industry. Laurel is also the president of Agusan Power Corporation. According to reports, Laurel is among President Marcos Jr.'s top donors in the 2022 elections. The chief executive has been holding the post of DA chief since assuming office in 2022. Last June, he said he would only stay as DA secretary until efficient systems are in place to guarantee food supply and prices in the country.
We have found somebody who understands very well the problems that agriculture is facing. And the reason for the timing is, I'd like also to put a little background to it. The reason for the timing is that now we are confident, Secretary Kiko and I are confident that we have a fair understanding, a good understanding of what it is that needs to be done.
Layunin ko na ipagpatuloy ang kanyang mga adhikain at programa sa sektor ng agrikultura. Lubos po ako naniniwala na kaya nating mapalago ang produksyon ng ating agrikultura sa tulong ng ating presidente. Ngunit kailangan ko ang tulong at pakikiisa ninyo at ng buong sambayan ng Pilipino.
6 repatriates from Lebanon have arrived in Manila. The Filipinos were flown back to Manila as Hezbollah mounts multiple strikes against Israel at the Lebanon border. Philippine Ambassador to Lebanon Raymond Balatbat says 6 more people will be repatriated today and are expected to arrive tomorrow. The ambassador says they can only release so many people for repatriation, citing some hold up in the processing of their clearances. With the upcoming message of the Hezbollah, Balatbat expresses hope that the group will not join the fray in the Middle East, especially with thousands of Filipinos in Beirut.
It's a ground war, malapit lang po ang border ng southern Lebanon dito sa Beirut, where most of the Filipinos reside. So in a matter of hours, baka ano na po yan, nasa outskirts na po yung bakbakan. And then of course the first thing that will always fall is the airport.
More Filipinos from Israel are due to return home to the Philippines next week. After 3 weeks of waiting at the Rafah crossing on the Egypt-Israel border, 2 Filipino doctors who were caught in the conflict have now made it out of Gaza. They were among the hundreds of foreigners permitted to cross the border when it was opened by Israel and Egypt. According to the Foreign Affairs Department, the organization Doctors Without Borders is currently taking care of them. Despite their ordeal, the doctors are said to be continuing their services in other places. Meanwhile, there are still about 115 Filipinos waiting for their papers to be processed at the Rafah crossing. The delay is said to be because their names are going through a verification process. Many of the Filipinos have Palestinian spouses, which is why their names may differ. However, it's worth noting that foreigners are the ones being allowed to cross the border. So there is a possibility that their Palestinian spouses could be left behind.
Hingin natin ng bigyan tayo ng priority kasi ang situation, lahat ng mga foreign nationals na gustong lumabas ng Gaza, makakalabas daw. Yung problema, 7,000 nagpas sila. Hindi naman kaya ng Rafah border na iisa lahat tumawid. No? So, unti-unti lang nire-release yung mga approvals.
For now, there are still 8 Filipinos remaining in Gaza City. They are unable to leave due to the dangerous situation, but they also expressed a desire to be repatriated. So far, 123 Filipinos have been repatriated to the Philippines from Israel. Another 45 Filipinos are scheduled to return on November 6. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida makes an official visit to the Philippines today to discuss several issues with President Bongbong Marcos. What can we expect from this meeting? Well, De La Salle University geopolitical analyst Don McLean Gill told the big story that the Philippines and Japan share similar threat perceptions towards China. He said this paves the way for the Philippines to expand its defense cooperation with non-traditional allies. Gill adds that the Philippines must work to secure and institutionalize this alliance with Japan in order to benefit from it in the long run. The palace has earlier announced that bilateral talks between Marcos and Kishida will center on issues in the West Philippine Sea. Japanese Prime Minister is also said to be eyeing the establishment of an initial framework to a new security treaty with the Philippines, as Tokyo aims to expand its network of quasi-allies for joint military exercises in the Indo-Pacific.
Manila and Tokyo also shared similar threat perceptions towards China, right? And this is not only in terms of territorial expansion in the traditional sense, but also disinformation. So hopefully we will also be able to institutionalize, this is what I'm actually looking into, a regularized maritime exercise with Japan. So we have to make sure that we set the groundwork, make it formidable to the point that it would not seem that we are inconsistent in our approach. And that is something that is a way to show China that we are serious about our commitment.
When it comes to infrastructure partnership, Gill said Japan would benefit from taking over funding projects left by China, although the matter would still depend on negotiations.
The Southeast Asia is definitely one of the most important areas for Japan to improve its position as a developing partner. But of course, it's not going to be as simple as, do you want to take it? Yeah, sure, we'll take it. Right. So it depends on the negotiations that would entail, how both countries, the Philippines and Japan, will be able to iron out some nitty-gritty details on the arrangements and to result in a sort of positive sum cooperation for infrastructure, right?
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The Undas break is over, but the Philippine National Police remains on high alert until Monday. The PNP says they are expecting droves of people returning either to their provinces of Metro Manila after the long holiday break. The heightened alert is meant to ensure the security of passengers as they travel to their respective communities. A heightened alert means at least 80% of the 228,000-strong police force will be available for deployment. Aside from the deployment of personnel on the ground, the PNP will also maintain police assistance desks at airports, seaports, and terminals. Authorities arrested a man for allegedly taking a mother and her children hostage in Baseco compound on Thursday. The suspect was identified as Justin Sagun, a 33-year-old security guard. According to the victim, Sagun appeared dazed while carrying a knife as he entered the room where the family was renting. The victim said they were unharmed but nevertheless sought help from neighbors in calling the cops. Police were able to get there in time to rescue the mother and her 3 young children. Initial reports state that Sagun had been drinking prior to the incident. He will face complaints for slight illegal detention, illegal possession of a deadly weapon, and violation of the child abuse law.
Nakipag-ano tayo sa kanya, nakipag-usap, pretending na kakilala natin siya. After mga 2.5 hours of dialogue or negotiation sa kanya, nagkaroon tayo opportunity na i-grab siya.
No comment na lang po, sir, sa korte na lang po.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 11:15 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Jago Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.